What is going on, team? Back in the Fireside PM podcast. We should probably call it Between Two Aquariums, but it's too late. Today, I want to talk about 5 common mistakes I see people make when they're doing their exec reviews. So, if you're a product manager, usually working at a tech company, and you've got a product review coming up with, your directors or your VPs. These are the 5 things that I've seen people do, and frankly, that I did also when I was, still growing up as a PM leader. The first one is they don't answer the damn question. So, maybe the SVP says, "Hey, I want to get a review on such and such." And then it trickles down to the PM, and they're like, "Oh, so and so wants a review on such and such." And then the PM will spend all this time producing a deck. Maybe it's like a status update, or maybe they think it's about some new privacy regulation project or whatever. They show up for the review, and the SVP or the C level is like, "Oh, I want to know about topic, 3." And the PM's like, "Oh, shit, you know, I thought he wanted to hear about topic 1 and 2. I don't have anything on 3." So sometimes you're so eager to jump into action. Oh, we got a review. Let's get ready. Put the deck together. Let's have some meetings. You've got to confirm, like, oh, why is this review being asked for? For who? For what audience? And what question are they trying to answer? Sometimes it's a very mundane question, which is like, "Oh, we haven't heard from you in a while. We want to know what's going on with the project." And sometimes it's very specific, like, "We have major concerns about blank, and we want to understand what we're doing about it." But you may not always get that clearly written kind of requirements document from the requester of the review because they're busy and they often don't do that. Maybe they should, but that's not that's not the way it usually works. So mistake 1 is you don't answer the question. Mistake 2 is that you assume that the review is a working session and it's a discussion. And in some ways it is, but in most ways, the majority of the hard work should have been done well before the review. So you don't want to wait for the review to argue over like the fact pattern or the question we're trying to answer, or what are the key assumptions. Like, if you get to the review and everybody agrees on that, but they disagree on the course of actions to take, or how they're kind of weighing the trade-offs, that's fine. But I've seen a lot of reviews where they'll get like all of these very expensive stakeholders in a room, and we're just trying to agree on level setting, like some real basic things that could and should have been done earlier. Mistake number 3 is that they actually do address the question, and they've done a lot of work, but the deck just looks like a stream of consciousness. And it's not because the PM isn't very thoughtful. Of course, we're PMs, we're very thoughtful. But the deck has evolved through all these conversations such that it's like this winding, meandering, uh, you know, history of the last 3 weeks of ping pong with all the stakeholders. And then you didn't have the time to really distill it down and crystallize it. And so it reminds me of the old saying, like, I would have written a shorter letter if I had more time. I would have distilled this down into 5 crisp slides if I had more time. But instead, I'm going to give you 30 slides with another 17 in the appendix. And, that's a common mistake. Number 4 is it's missing key details. So the question framing is pretty good. There's been a lot of homework done in ping pong with stakeholders. The slides are pretty good, but the decision rests on a few key assumptions. And some of those assumptions could be pressure tested or validated with data that we should have access to now, but is not in the slides and is not in your head. Or if it is in your head, you're kind of hand wavy about it. So missing key details is like crucial. I can't tell you how many reviews I've been in, which is like, well, we're looking at this option table between option B and C. It really seems to rest on whether or not, some assumption is true or not. We should be able to figure that out. And of course, like life happens, and sometimes the PM doesn't have the time to get all the information together. But it is a miss. It's a missed opportunity when the PM says, okay, let me get back to you on that number. Because it's like, wait a minute, you probably could have predicted that we would need that number. And what probably happened is that you just didn't have time. And then we get into this trade-off of like, well, should the review have happened? Should we have pushed it out, or did you prioritize getting that information and operating in an efficient way to kind of be able to get all the details? I know I'm sounding like a tough customer now, but that is how sometimes people look at on the other side of the reviews. It's like, I don't want to hear all the backstory. I want to know if we can make a good decision for the company. And then the fifth mistake I see people make is, even if they have all of the questions laid out, they have the homework and the ping ponging early, and the deck has a really crisp narrative, and there's key details and facts and figures and dates to help really make a good decision. The fifth mistake is that the PM sounds a little pushy. They sound like they're trying to force you into a direction versus help you make your own mind up with the information you need. They can highlight a column in the option table, but if they ask questions about alternatives and the PM might be dismissive or doesn't want to really address it, or keeps trying to drag the audience to their recommended option, even if that's the right answer, that's not the way to do it. Generally doesn't work out that well. And that's a tough balancing act. It's like you want to be confident, you want to have a point of view, but you don't want to seem like you're kind of rushing people into a decision and making them feel like they're being kind of sold a bill of goods. So those are 5 mistakes I've seen PMs make in exec reviews and product reviews. I am teaching a class on how to nail your product reviews. I'm going to be a featured instructor on Maven, which is a platform for kind of online learning. It'll be 4 live classes over a period of 4 weeks. So it's 1 month class, about 90 minutes per class on Sunday mornings. The first one will be on March 29th, and it'll basically run through the month of April. So if you're interested, I'll put a link to the interest list below. Registration hasn't opened yet, but there's only going to be 10 spaces. So, if this is a kind of thing you want to build skills on, feel free to express interest. It'll be a very interactive class, a lot of workshopping and kind of experiential learning. So it won't be heavy on lecturing. I feel like, you can get that by following me here, or, looking on YouTube for a bunch of great videos or podcasts or whatever. So this one on Maven is going to be very much hands-on, experiential, with the goal of you coming out of this thing and having a much better next product review because of the kind of practice and kind of honing of skills that we do together. It includes a little bit of one-on-one coaching as well. So hopefully this was useful to you. Keep up the great work, and I'll see you next time. Bye, team.